Good morning.
Morning.
As was mentioned, today we're called to remember our comrades who never came home and who were POWs. I'm happy to report to you that 46 MRI have been accounted for this year and are back home. There's 6 Navy personnel, 6 Marines, 10 Air Force, and the remaining are Army personnel. They're listed here on the board if you care to review them. All but 2 have been buried with full military honors in their own town or in Arlington National Cemetery. The 2 that are not buried yet are 2nd Lieutenant Remembrance, 5th Air Force, lost 1944 in New Guinea. He'll be buried with full military honors September 28th in Springville, Utah. Sergeant Melvin Wolf, Army, 31st Combat Team. He was lost in Korea in 1950, and he'll be buried with full military honors next Monday, September 23rd in Boulder City, Nevada. Well, there's over 83,000 military personnel still unaccounted for since World War II. Well, I have found out, in addition to that, there are 3,000 soldiers missing in World War I. 5 have been recovered in the last 10 years. I want to take a moment to recognize the agency that is responsible for the recovery and identification of the missing. Can you hear me all right back there?
Yep.
Okay. The Department of Defense has had a high priority given to locating POWs and missing in action ever since World War II. In 2003, DoD consolidated several departments, and there are 2 laboratories into one, and it's called the Joint POW MIA Accounting Command, JPAC, JPAC for short. JPAC is a very special unit, which we don't hear about. It has 500 men and women from all the 4 services, plus a few civilians. It's headquartered in Hawaii, and it's under the command of Air Force Major General Kelly K. Carew. He took command just last year. They have 18 recovery teams and 2 identification laboratories. The personnel are highly trained, highly skilled, and highly motivated to accomplish their single mission: to search for, recover, and bring all Americans home missing in action. There's an article in this morning's paper which tells about the operation of JPAC and what some of their accomplishments are. I'll try not to repeat too much what's in the paper, but I refer you to, if you're interested, to the paper. JPAC has been in every country except one, until recently, where there's been U.S. military action. There was a period of time when they did not send teams out to seek information about sites. They waited. If somebody reported a potential site, then they would send a team out to investigate. But since last year and under new leadership, more attention is being given to gain information from the public of the country where MIAs are. This year, JPAC has sent investigation teams in addition to recovery teams to the Philippines, Laos, Vietnam, and especially Burma. Well, what's so special about Burma? Burma is a country we haven't had access to. There's 730 military personnel unaccounted for from War II in Burma. Since 1948, Burma has been under the rule of a military dictator. But for some reason, somehow, a team was allowed into the country in 2003 for a brief, short period. Well, the team returned the next year, only to be told to get out. Well, there's been unrest in the country for several years thereafter, and elections were finally held and a new civilian government was established in 2011. So today we have good diplomatic relations with Burma. So this year, an investigation team went in to gather information from citizens there, and they were able to accumulate information on about 200 potential sites. So we're going to see more activity in Burma in the coming years. Well, there's an international law governing transporting human remains. This presents no problem for JPOW. However, a few of the countries have added additional restrictions. Excuse me. For example, in Burma, there has to be a government official accompany every team that goes in there, and they have to identify or certify that it is an American. A few countries have a restriction that JPAC must get an authorization from the government to be able to investigate a site. Well, it's different rules for different countries, but JPAC has been able to operate under these. Now, here's a story that received national publicity in 2010. Where they got their information, I'm not sure. I'm sure that JPAC didn't release, or the Department of Defense didn't release a press release on all the details of what went on. Anyway, it's interesting. 2004, two Frenchmen were out looking for metal with a metal detector and found a shallow grave of a soldier. Well, there was a JPAC recovery team working close by, so they notified them, and the team leader went and investigated the site and determined it was a World War I soldier and contacted his superior. Well, they were in France. He was told he didn't have authorization to make the recovery. This was a dilemma for him, because one of the requirements of JPAC is when they have discovered and have retrieved the remains and the artifacts, they have to preserve it and protect it until they have it. They take it to the aircraft that's going to take it on to Hawaii. Well, he had a decision to make, and he made the right decision. And that was, he just couldn't wait for authorization from the government, because he didn't know how long that was going to take. So he went ahead, got part of his team, and they made the recovery of the remains and the artifacts. Well, it took 4 years to make positive identification of this person. He is Army Private Thomas D. Costello. And he was buried in 2010 in Arlington National Cemetery under full honors. Well, it's interesting to me that the media picks up on something like this, and when here we have a whole list of men who have come home, and the military or the media doesn't pay attention to it. Apparently it's not significant enough, it's not glorified enough. Well, enough said on that. Well, I cited this case about the World War II soldier as it shows the commitment that JPAC members had to achieve their mission. And their motto is, until they come home. Now, the service members listed here were not recovered just this year, but over several years. It takes time, sometimes years, to make positive identification. When not in the field, the staff is searching and reviewing records and reports and artifacts to help make an identification. It's a tedious task. They have to exhaust all possible resources to make sure that the identity is correct. Think about it, how difficult that would be with some remains. JPAC right now has 300 remains still to be identified. Some of them may not be identified. We owe a great deal of gratitude to the members of JPAC. They are doing an outstanding service, and they're an asset to this country. To me, they are the unsung heroes of our time. We cannot forget the veterans who were prisoners of war and what they endured. There are no American military POWs in the world today. After we finish here, we'll show a movie, The Great Raid, in tribute to those who were POWs. The movie is a true and accurate account of the military rescue of 510 Americans held captive by the Japanese in the Philippines during World War II. It is considered one of the most accurate movies Hollywood has ever made. It was filmed in Northern Australia. The prison was an accurate replica of the real prison. And even the graveyard was a replica. I mention the graveyard because over 2,656 prisoners died during the 3 years that prison was in operation. After the war, they were recovered, identified, and moved to the Malta American Cemetery Memorial in the Philippines. It's based on a non-fictional book called The Ghost Soldiers. The key person responsible for the recovery was Captain Price. He reviewed the book and the movie and viewed both as accurate. He was actually the one that designed the raid. He led the troops in to make the raid. He never felt that he was a hero. He said the real heroes of the mission were the POWs.